In the heart of Akure, where the hills kiss the sky and the busy market hummed with life, there lived a beautiful young woman named Adunni. She was known for her kindness, her beauty, and the way her smile could light up a room. But what made Adunni truly special was her talent with weaving Aso-oke, the traditional Yoruba clothes. Her hands danced on the loom like magic, creating the most beautiful patterns anyone had ever seen. Adunni's father, Baba Ayo, was a well-respected elder in the village. He often reminded her, "My daughter, our family's pride is in our tradition. The Aso-oke we weave carries our ancestors' stories. Never forget that." Adunni loved her father and was proud of her family's craft. She spent her days weaving Aso-oke that was fit for kings and queens. But Adunni carried a secret, one that weighed heavily on her heart. Every morning, after working at the loom, Adunni would sneak away to the old baobab tree at the edge of the village. There, hidden from everyone, she met Akin, a young hunter from a neighboring village. Akin was tall and strong, with kind eyes that sparkled when he looked at her. They had fallen in love, but there was a problem. Akin was from a rival family, and their love was forbidden by both of their families. Despite the danger, they couldn't stay away from each other. Under the shade of the baobab tree, they shared dreams of running away together, of starting a new life where no one could judge their love. But as the days passed, whispers began to spread through the village. The elders spoke in hushed tones, and Baba Ayo grew worried. "There are rumors," he told Adunni one evening. "The chief of our village wants you to weave a special Aso-oke for his son's wedding, but he also wants to make you part of his family." Adunni's heart sank. She knew what that meant. The chief's son, Ayinde, was a proud and wealthy man, but Adunni had no love for him. She only had eyes for Akin. Her mind raced, and she realized that soon she would have to make a choice between her family's honor and the man she loved. One fateful evening, as Adunni sat at her loom, weaving the finest Aso-oke she had ever made, her father entered the room. "Adunni," he said, his voice heavy with emotion, "the time has come. The chief's son has asked for your hand in marriage. Our family will be honored. You must accept." Tears filled Adunni's eyes, but she nodded. Deep inside, she knew she couldn't betray her family. Yet, the thought of losing Akin made her heart ache. Later that night, she ran to the baobab tree, where Akin was waiting for her. "We have no more time," she whispered, her voice trembling. "My father has accepted the chief's proposal. I am to marry Ayinde." Akin grabbed her hands, his eyes filled with determination. "Then we live tonight. We can start a new life. Far away from here. We'll be free." But before Adunni could reply, they heard footsteps. From the shadows emerged Ayinde, the chief's son. He had followed her and witnessed everything. "So this is your secret, Adunni?" Ayinde sneered. "You would betray your family for this hunter?" He glared at Akin with disgust. "You will pay for this." Before Akin could react, Ayinde looked at him. The two men fought fiercely, their struggle echoing through the silent night. Adunni screamed, but no one came to help. The fight was brutal, and just when it seemed Akin might win, Ayinde pulled a small dagger. With a swift, cruel motion, he slashed at Akin, who fell to the ground, clutching his side in pains. Adunni rushed to Akin's side, her heart breaking. She turned to Ayinde, her eyes blazing with anger. "This is not over," she whispered fiercely, but Ayinde only laughed. As he walked away, he left them with one final warning. By dawn, the village will know of your betrayal, and there will be no place for either of you. The next morning, Adunni returned to her father's house, her heart heavy with sorrow and fear. She knew she had to protect Akin, but how could she face her father and the entire village after what had happened? But fate, as it seemed, had other plans. While Adunni was tending to Akin's wounds that morning, something strange happened. The Aso-oke she had been weaving for the chief's son began to unravel, as if it had a life of its own. Threads pulled and twisted, revealing symbols and patterns Adunni had never seen before. At first, she thought it was her tired mind playing tricks on her, but then she realized what it was. The Aso-oke had a secret of its own. Beneath the beautiful colors and patterns, the cloth held the story of her ancestors, a story of love, betrayal, and forgiveness. It was as if the cloth was trying to tell her something, guiding her towards a path she hadn't yet seen. Adunni stared at the unraveling fabric, her mind racing. Could the secret within the Aso-oke help her find a way out of this mess? Could the wisdom of her ancestors show her how to save the man she loved and bring peace to her family? As she pieced the patterns together, a plan began to form in her mind. Adunni stared at the unraveling Aso-oke, her mind pounding. The symbols and pattern told an ancient story, one her father had spoken of in hushed tones, but never fully explained. It was the legend of a woman just like Adunni, who had once faced the possible choice between love and family. A woman who had found a way to unite her people through a single act of courage. Suddenly, Adunni knew what she had to do. She carefully gathered the unraveling cloth and wrapped it around her shoulders. Feeling the strength of her ancestors flowing through her, she could not run away. Instead, she would confront Ayinde, the chief, and even her father to reveal the truth hidden in the Aso-oke. The truth that love and honor did not have to be enemies, and that only through unity could true peace be found. That evening, as the sun dipped below the hills of Akure, casting a golden glow over the village, Adunni made her way to the chief's palace. The people whispered as she passed, many of them already hearing rumors of her supposed betrayal. But Adunni held her head high, the sacred Aso-oke draped around her like a shield. When she arrived at the palace, the entire village had gathered, including her father, Baba Ayo, and Ayinde standing proudly by his father's side. The chief, a tall man with eyes that held the weight of many years of leadership, looked down at her with curiosity. Adunni, he said, his voice booming, you stand before us accused of breaking tradition, of dishonoring your family. What do you have to say for yourself? The crowd murmured, and Baba Ayo's face was clouded with disappointment. But Adunni didn't waver. She stepped forward, her voice steady and clear. I have done nothing to dishonor my family, she said, but I have discovered a secret, one hidden within the very cloth we hold sacred. With that, Adunni held up the Aso-oke for all to see. The villagers gasped as they noticed the strange symbols and patterns woven into the fabric. This cloth tells the story of our ancestors, of a woman who, like me, was forced to choose between love and duty. But in the end, she did not choose one over the other. She united them. The chief frowned, but Adunni continued. Ayinde seeks to marry me not for love, but for power. He cares nothing for our traditions. He only wants to control what he cannot understand. Ayinde's face twisted with anger. Lies, he shouted, stepping forward. She speaks lies to save herself. She is nothing but a traitor to her family. But before he could say more, Baba Ayo spoke up, his voice calm but firm. Let her finish. Adunni's eyes met her father's. and she saw a flicker of hope in his gaze. She continued, her heart racing. This Aso-oke is a reminder that true strength comes from love, from unity. I ask for a chance to prove that my love for Akin does not betray our people, but strengthen them. If you, the chief, can look beyond old rivalries, we can build a new future together. The chief studied her for a long moment, his face unreadable. Finally, he spoke. And how do you intend to prove this unity, Adunni? Adunni took a deep breath. By finishing the Aso-oke, but I will not weave it alone. I will weave it with the women of both villages, women from my family and Akin's. Together, we will create a new pattern, one that symbolizes the unity we can achieve. The crowd fell silent. For a moment, no one spoke, and the air was thick with tension. Then, to everyone's surprise, Baba Ayo stepped forward. I believed in my daughter, he said, his voice strong. Let her finish the clothes and let us see what the future holds. Ainde smiled but remained silent. The chief, after a long pause, nodded. Very well, he said. You have 3 days, Adunni. If you can complete the Aso-oke with the women of both villages, and it brings us peace, then your love for Akin will be accepted. If not, the consequences will be grief. And so, with the weight of the entire village on her shoulder, Adunni set to work. For 3 days and 3 nights, the women of both villages came together, weaving under the guidance of Adunni. They worked side by side, their hands moving as one, as old grudges and rivalries slowly began to melt away. And as the cloth grew longer, so did the bond between them. On the morning of the 4th day, Adunni and the women stood before the chief. The finished Aso-oke laid out for all to see. It was the most beautiful cloth the village had ever known. Vibrant, strong, and full of new intricate patterns that symbolized unity, love, and the strength of tradition. The chief gazed at the clothes for a long time, his expression unreadable. Finally, he turned to Adunni. This cloth, he said, his voice full of admiration. It's a testament to your wisdom and courage. You have shown us that love and tradition can work hand in hand. Your marriage to Akin is blessed, and our village will be united. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Baba Ayo embraced his daughter with tears in his eyes. You have made me proud, Adunni.
As for Ainde, he flocked away in silence, his plans foiled by Adunni's bravery and the strength of her love.
And so, Adunni and Akin were married under the baobab tree, where their love had first blossomed. Their union marked the beginning of a new chapter for both families, one built on love, unity, and the secrets that had been hidden for generations beneath the Aso-oke. And from that day on, the Aso-oke Adunni had woven was passed down from generation to generation, a symbol of power of love, tradition, and the wisdom of their ancestors.